Hello, everyone. Art Burns here, wishing you well today. Hope you're having a great day. I know I am just loving this moment out here. I'm just so happy to be out here in the sunshine with these gorgeous white, puffy clouds just gently blowing by in this beautiful Colorado breeze. And it's just one of these days. It's just making me feel just so alive and so just loving it. And I hope wherever you are, I hope you're experiencing good weather outside as well as inside as well. But if you're not, it's important to pardon me, to not judge what's going on, right? Like that's what we've been talking about here the last few days. And it's so important to our mental well-being and to our emotional well-being and even our physical well-being to release ourselves from the judgment of what's happening. When we do this, when we release ourselves from the judgment of these experiences, right? Like instead of saying like, oh my gosh, this is a perfect weather day, right? The minute I start thinking about how perfect this weather day is, my mind is going to cling to the idea that this is the perfect day, and so therefore tomorrow what's going to happen? Am I going to lose this good feeling, right? So what we do when we train ourselves through some very basic practice, when we train ourselves to release this judgment of our unfolding experiences, and instead just pay attention to what's happening moment to moment without the burden of this judgment, what we do is we start to appreciate every single moment for what it is, right? And that means enjoying the moments that are really, really pleasurable even more. And it also means that you can appreciate even those moments that are not so positive, right? So like if it was raining today, I could instead just appreciate that we need the water, that it's good to experience, rain as well, and that's obviously a very basic example, but this can be applied to any situation in your life, any experience of your life, and more importantly, what you do when you start to really release yourself from this judging of all the different experiences that you have, you wind up realizing how impermanent every experience is, right? Like so this day, I mean, in Colorado, weather is a perfect example of that. I mean, it could snow later today out here. That's how Colorado weather is. And so I guess I have a little bit of an advantage there on the impermanence. But it's true. Every single emotion that you feel, every sensation in your body, every thought that you experience, every experience you're having is completely impermanent and transient. And this brings up the another really important quality that comes through through understanding this impermanence and also releasing ourselves from this judgment. Okay, it's a quality that can serve you physically, emotionally, and mentally, and can improve all kinds of things in the interpersonal relationships of your life. What I'm talking about here, folks, is forgiveness. Right now, a lot of times people consider forgiveness as a weakness, as something that makes you soft. It's something that like you let somebody get away with something, right? And that's why the thing that holds us back from from forgiveness rather, most often is fear. Right, and it's fear that masquerades as something else, right? It doesn't usually feel like fear, but in the end, why wouldn't you forgive? You don't forgive because you feel like you need some sort of retribution to somebody. You don't want somebody to get away with something. You're afraid that somebody's going to get one over on you somehow, right? And so when we feel fear, what happens? The stress response happens, right? And there's many studies. I mean, the data is overwhelming that when we're in a state of non-forgiveness, okay, very similar things happen in our body as every other time that we're in the stress response, which includes, most importantly, the release, the secretion in our hormonal glands, the secretion of the stress hormone cortisol. Okay, this has been measured. When people think of something that's happened in their lives for which they are refusing to forgive someone, there's a measurable increase of cortisol in their bodies. Okay, that means that their heart rate is increased, that their blood pressure is raised, their respiratory system is increased, sped up and made shallow, and you're trying to get blood and oxygen into your muscles so you can fight or flight. That's what you're going through just from thinking about something that you're not forgiving. In addition to those three things, other fun aspects are your reproductive system is shut down, your digestive system shut down, your lymphatic system, and your immune immune system are all just shut down when you're in this, when cortisol enters your body and causes this hyperarousal state of your body. It's not good for you, folks. It's not good for you. And you know what? Most of the time, the person who you're refusing to forgive, they don't even realize it. They don't care. That's the ultimate irony of all this, right? That we hold on to this non-forgiveness because we're not willing to release this person from the bounds of the fairness that we feel needs to happen, because again, based on this fear, right? But they don't even know. They're living their life. They're doing whatever they're doing, right? Now, here's the thing. When it's something that happens in your life, and of course it's on a spectrum, there's some things that are very strong that you're feeling very, very unforgiving about, right? And other things that maybe you're feeling a little bit less unforgiving about. But the bottom line is that wherever on that spectrum it falls, you are likely to think about that thing, from maybe a couple times a day to maybe 40 or 50 times a day, maybe many more than that, right? And every time you consider that thing that happened for which you are not forgiving someone, boom, the cortisol, the stress, the hyperarousal is happening every single time. Again, there's a wealth of data that shows this to be true. And if you need some of this background information, hit me up with a comment. I'll send you some links. It's amazing. And this is really bad for us. Now, again, I said in the beginning that this is something that will improve your interpersonal relationships, because it will. If you can forgive others and you can kind of, move past that thing that is blocking your forgiveness, you can get to true reconciliation. That doesn't mean letting people get away with something, right? Like, you can sue somebody and still reconcile with them, right? Like, it's not like a cause and effect thing. But by forgiving them, most importantly, what you're doing is you're helping yourself, right? You're not allowing that fear-based stress response to happen in your body, and therefore you're not damaging your body through that process, right? Now, of course, this also applies to forgiving ourselves, right? And that's something that's usually the hardest person that we can forgive is ourselves, right? And this is, again, just as applicable. Every time you think of something that you've done and you're not forgiving yourself for it, boom, stress, 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 stress. And it's happening every single time. And of course, if you think about somebody else, something that happened outside often, you think about yourself even more so. And so if you'd like any, kind of more information about what I'm talking about, if you'd like to learn some of these studies that I'm referring to, or you want to know more information about how this works, or if you would like to learn some very, very basic practices that can start you on the way to really embracing forgiveness and embracing this non-judging awareness that I talk about, please hit me up with a comment, send me a direct message. I hope this wind isn't disturbing the audio too much, but yeah, send me a direct message. Hit me up with a comment. Let's start a conversation. Let me help you get started with this, because once you get started, you'd be surprised at how simple and how, kind of not difficult it can be to keep going and get to a point where you are forgiving people very, very, very readily and very easily. And in addition to that, you're also seeing all the different benefits that I've talked about this week of, more happiness, more alignment with who you are, more empathy, more compassion, and just better feeling, and just enjoying every moment the way that you should be, because the present moment is all that we have. And so there's no reason not to really enjoy it. Anyway, I'm going to let you go. Wishing you well. Hit me up if you want some more information. I'd be happy to share some. Take care, everybody. I'll be back on Monday. Bye-bye.